What if the UAE's biggest Horn of Africa bet isn't about ports, coastlines, or the Red Sea, but about walking away from them entirely? While Djibouti hosts superpower bases, Somalia stretches along 3,000 kilometers of coastline, and Eritrea sits meters from Yemen's war, Abu Dhabi quietly chose something else. A landlocked giant. 20 Mirage 2000 fighter jets, billions in factories and farms, a military partnership that rattled Cairo and unsettled Djibouti. No press conference, no grand announcement, just execution. This wasn't charity, it wasn't ideology, it was calculation. In this video, we break down why the UAE rejected every Red Sea state, why Ethiopia suddenly became its anchor in East Africa, and what this gamble means for regional power, ports, and war corridors, stretching from Yemen to Sudan. This is HornAfrica Insight, where the Horn's quiet moves speak the loudest. Before Ethiopia, the UAE tried the obvious options. Eritrea came first. Asab Port, deep water, direct access to Yemen. From 2015 to 2021, Emirati jets flew combat missions from Eritrean soil. Then, silence. In 2021, the base shut down. Abruptly, officials stayed vague. Analysts weren't. Asmara proved unpredictable. Strategic access depended on one leader, one relationship, one mood. Abu Dhabi walked away with a lesson. Rented ports expire. Then, Djibouti. DP World ran Dorle Container Terminal until 2018, when Djibouti seized it overnight. International courts ruled for Dubai. Djibouti ignored them. China filled the vacuum. Finally, Somalia. The UAE invested, trained forces, and built Berbera, then collided with Mogadishu over Somaliland. Turkey and Qatar moved in. Abu Dhabi lost federal influence. 3 coastal states, 3 strategic dead ends. So, the UAE rewrote the map. January 2026, Harar Meta Air Base. Mirage, 2000 sliced through Ethiopian skies during the Air Force's 90th anniversary. Behind closed doors, something bigger landed. According to multiple reports, the UAE agreed to transfer around 20 Mirage 2009 multi-role fighters to Ethiopia. Not sold, donated. At market value, that's $400 to $500 million in aircraft before training, weapons, and sustainment. Total exposure likely exceeds $700 million. This wasn't generosity, it was leverage. Maintenance pipelines, pilot training, weapons integration, intelligence alignment. Ethiopia's Air Force modernization now runs through Emirati channels. And then there's Berbera. January 2nd, 2024, Ethiopia and Somaliland sign an MOU for Red Sea access. Who controls Berbera Port? DP World. The UAE didn't need sovereignty, it needed throughput. Every Ethiopian container through Berbera strengthens an Emirati asset without dealing with Djibouti, China, or Eritrea's politics. This wasn't about coastline, it was about control. What makes the UAE-Ethiopia alignment different isn't the money or the jets. It's the message. Across the Horn of Africa, smaller states are reading this deal carefully. Because it signals a shift most leaders don't want to admit. Regional relevance is no longer guaranteed by geography alone. For decades, ports were power. Coastlines meant leverage. Hosting foreign bases meant protection. But the UAE's pivot tells a different story. Abu Dhabi didn't reward proximity. It rewarded scale. Ethiopia doesn't just consume influence, it absorbs it. Population size, industrial depth, political gravity. When a state reaches that threshold, it stops begging for access and starts shaping corridors. This unsettles neighbors. Djibouti worries about being bypassed. Eritrea worries about being ignored. Somalia worries about being outpaced. Even Kenya watches closely. The Horn is quietly splitting into two categories: states that host power and states that generate power. The UAE placed its bet on the latter. That choice forces an uncomfortable regional question. As infrastructure expands and markets consolidate, will smaller states integrate or be sidelined? Because in this new order, being strategically located isn't enough. You either anchor the system or the system routes around you. Ethiopia gained something historic: practical Red Sea access without war. Fourth-generation fighters that alter the regional balance. Capital inflows exceeding $6 billion across industry, agriculture, and logistics. Somaliland gains its strongest recognition leverage yet. The UAE gains permanence. Meanwhile, Djibouti feels pressure. Its monopoly weakens. Rail routes reroute. Chinese-backed dominance faces competition. Eritrea gets isolation. No port revenue, no leverage, no alternative patron. Somalia's federal government watches influence slip again, while regional actors bypass Mogadishu entirely. This is the brutal hierarchy Abu Dhabi embraced. Giants get partnerships, small states get replaced. And Egypt? Cairo notices Ethiopian air power upgrades immediately. Not because of war, but because balance shifted quietly. The fighter jets grab attention. The factories lock power. UAE-linked firms now anchor industrial parks outside Addis Ababa. Agribusiness projects spread across Ethiopia's river basins. Logistics corridors stretch from factories to Berbera. Ethiopia offers what ports can't: 120 million consumers, 9 to 10% annual growth, a labor force global manufacturers want as China costs rise. Abu Dhabi isn't waiting for Western capital, it's positioning ahead of it. When Ethiopia's GDP pushes toward $250 billion in the 2030s, early investors control choke points, logistics, processing, exports. That's the real return on investment. The Mirage deal wasn't defense diplomacy. It was an insurance policy for industrial capital. This strategy isn't clean. The UAE remains entangled in Yemen. Houthi drones already threaten Red Sea shipping. Berbera could become a target. Sudan is worse. Since April 2023, over 150,000 people have died. Multiple investigations accuse the UAE of backing the RSF through regional corridors. Abu Dhabi denies it. If instability spills east, Ethiopia absorbs refugees, arms, and shockwaves. There's also geopolitics. China watches Berbera closely. Turkey won't exit Somalia quietly. The US recalibrates. This bet works only if Ethiopia stabilizes internally and external conflicts don't detonate trade corridors. Nothing here is guaranteed. So here's the real story. The UAE didn't choose Ethiopia because it lacks a coastline. It chose Ethiopia because coastlines alone no longer decide power. Population, markets, scale, permanence. Small Red Sea states offered access. Ethiopia offered inevitability. As factories rise, jets train, and Berbera fills with containers, a new Horn of Africa order takes shape, quietly, deliberately. The question isn't whether Ethiopia gains sea access. The question is whether this landlocked giant becomes the region's unavoidable center of gravity, and whether the Horn can absorb Middle Eastern rivalries without fracturing. Abu Dhabi has placed its bet. We'll be watching every move. This is HornAfrica Insight, where the Horn's quiet moves speak the loudest.